Hello everyone, this is Mohan Kumar BS signing in to talk about negative feedback mechanism in homeostasis, and today we take thyroid hormone secretion as an example to talk about negative feedback mechanism. So I have set the following objectives for today's class. We shall learn and understand the basics of negative feedback mechanisms in regulating homeostasis and also the role of thyroxine secretion in regulating negative feedback mechanisms. End of this session, you should be able to understand how thyroxine secretion is regulated using negative feedback loop. So I shall be covering on definition, thyroid secretion, negative feedback mechanisms, and the summary. So, negative feedback or balancing feedback occurs when some function of the output of a system or a process or mechanism is fed back in a manner that tends to reduce the fluctuations in the output, whether caused by changes in the output or by other disturbances. So, taking this definition into consideration, let's understand how thyroid hormones are released and regulated. So, how thyroid hormone is released, and thyroid hormone in turn regulates its own secretion, whether to reduce or to increase. So, thyroid gland is actually lesser than 30 gram in weight, and it is bilobed, separated by a connecting link, and the region is called as isthmus, and it is highly vascularized structure located in the anterior neck. Since it is bilobed structure and connected by isthmus, it looks more or less, if you look at the picture here, it looks like a butterfly. That is why it is butterfly shaped structure. The functional units of the thyroid gland are multiple variable sized follicles formed by a single layer of epithelial cells filled with colloid, more like a swimming pool, and the parapet around the swimming pool are the cells. So within the swimming pool, instead of water there is colloid. So colloid is a proteinaceous material containing thyroglobulin, a glycoprotein. Thyroglobulin is a glycoprotein necessary for the synthesis of T3 and T4. And if you look at this picture at high magnification, the cell surface lining the follicle is rich in microvilli. This picture does not actually show the microvilli, but if you take the actual picture, electron micrograph of the thyroid follicles, you would see microvilli that project into the follicular lumen where the colloid is secreted. Hormones are secreted into the blood at the opposite basal cell pole joining the rich capillary net. So, what are the hormones which are produced by the thyroid gland? So, there are 3 hormones, but to be more precise, only 2 hormones are considered. That is T3 and T4. T3 is 3-3,4 triiodothyronine, and T4 is thyroxine 3-5-3,4 tetraiodothyronine. Triiodothyronine or tetraiodine, based on the number of iodine molecules present, the thyroxine hormone is labeled as whether T3 or T4. If you look at this, the left side picture, and it is labeled in red color, there are 3 iodine atoms. So this is T3, and this is the T4 structure where there are 4 iodine molecules. So the reverse of this T3 is actually the reverse T3, and it lacks one iodine on its inner ring as its ring, and it is physiologically inert. Whereas T4 is abundantly produced and it is fully iodinated, whereas T3 is the one which lacks one iodine on this side, on its outer ring, and it is the most active form. This is abundantly produced, but it is not so active and not so potent as T3. So thyroid hormone mediates physiological process of nearly all organ system in a gain control manner. It means it amplifies or diminishes any physiological processes. Thyroid hormone also affects fetal and juvenile growth and development, and the dysfunction results from hyper or hypothyroid condition. So we will know them in coming classes about the hyper and hypothyroid conditions. The chief stimulator of thyroid hormone synthesis is thyroid stimulating hormone from the anterior pituitary. Binding of TSH to receptors on thyroid epithelial cells seems to enhance all of the processes necessary for synthesis of thyroid hormones, including synthesis of the iodide transporter, that is thyroid peroxidase and thyroglobulin. Thyroid peroxidase and thyroglobulin both are required for synthesis of T3 and T4. So the magnitude of the TSH signal also sets the rate of endocytosis of colloid. High concentration of TSH leads to faster rates of endocytosis, and hence thyroid hormone release into the circulation. And conversely, when TSH levels are low, rates of thyroid hormone synthesis are all and release also diminishes. So thyroid gland is part of the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis, HPT axis, and control of thyroid hormone secretion is exerted by classical negative feedback, which we are describing in this class now. And the thyroid releasing hormone from the hypothalamus stimulates TSH from the pituitary, which stimulates thyroid hormone release. As blood concentration of thyroid hormone increase, they inhibit both TSH and TRH, leading to what is called a shutdown of thyroid epithelial cells. Later, when blood levels of thyroid hormones are decayed, the negative feedback signal also fades away and the system wakes up again. So a number of other factors have been shown to influence thyroid hormone secretion. In rodents and young children, exposure to cold environment triggers TRH secretion, leading to enhanced thyroid hormone release. This makes sense considering the known ability of the thyroid hormones to spark body heat production. So the control of the thyroid gland cannot be viewed in isolation, but must be considered in the context of three parameters, that is regulation at the hypothalamic pituitary axis, and thyroid hormone metabolism. This would also in turn regulate the thyroxine amount floating in the ECF, and interactions with receptors at target cells. So the receptor density also matters in bringing about the said action. So let us understand step by step how thyroid hormone is actually regulated at each level. So before this, I will show you a picture here wherein there is hypothalamus, there is a pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus sends a signal by producing TRH, and the TRH goes to the anterior pituitary and asks the anterior pituitary to release TSH, that is thyroid stimulating hormone. So thyroid stimulating hormone released into the bloodstream reaches the thyroid gland and asks the thyroid gland to manufacture T4 and T3. So T4 and T3 are manufactured by thyroid gland once TSH is bind to thyroid gland. So T4, T3 is released and the homeostasis of T3 and T4 are maintained in the blood plasma. Any variation, the signal is again sent to hypothalamus, and hypothalamus to pituitary, and pituitary to thyroid. That is why it is called H. H is hypothalamus, P is pituitary, T is thyroid. So HPT axis. So we shall study what happens at hypothalamus and what happens at anterior pituitary and what happens at thyroid gland. So at the level of hypothalamus, thyrotropin releasing hormone or TRH, which is a tripeptide, is secreted into the hypophyseal portal capillaries to the anterior pituitary. There are connecting portals from hypothalamus to the pituitary. So that is hypophyseal portal capillary. So through the hypophyseal portal capillary, TRH is released into the anterior pituitary. There, TRH stimulates the anterior lobe thyrotropes to synthesize and release another hormone called as thyroid stimulating hormone or thyrotropin or TSH. Secretion of TSH is in turn inhibited by the negative feedback of thyroid hormones and stimulated or inhibited by stimuli from higher brain centers in response to environmental changes. Simple thing, as we discussed earlier, the loss of heat. If there is a loss of heat and the body has to gain heat, the metabolic rate has to be increased. That metabolic rate is actually regulated by the thyroid hormone. So the thyroid hormone, if there is not enough thyroid hormone in the body, it would send a signal to the hypothalamus asking the hypothalamus to synthesize TRH. So that's what it's about. It is negatively regulated. So at the pituitary level, if we talk about at the pituitary level, TSH is a glycoprotein secreted by the basophilic thyrotropes. TSH secretion is regulated by negative feedback of thyroid hormones again. So that is, the higher the serum levels of these hormones, the lower the TSH release. It's already higher, so we don't require more of T3 or T4 production. So TSH production itself is regulated at pituitary. And it is also vice versa. If there is a less amount of T3 and T4 in the blood plasma, then TSH level would be higher. And that higher amount of TSH release can only happen when it is stimulated by TRH. So in the absence of TSH, by experimental methods like hypophysectomy, if you do it, by removing the pituitary, thyroid function is depressed. It's obviously because thyroid is not really receiving any signals from the pituitary asking it to synthesize T3 and T4. So thyroid function is depressed and thyroid gland atrophies. And administration of TSH stimulates the thyroid gland and increases the circulating levels of thyroid hormone. And at the thyroid level, what happens? So thyroid hormones, thyroxine, that is T3 and T4, thyroxine is T4 and triiodothyronine is T3. And it is better and it is simpler to remember tetraiodothyronine and triiodothyronine. And to a much lesser extent, reverse T3, that is RT3, that is iodothyronine. Iodine containing derivatives of the amino acid tyrosine. All three hormones T3, T4 and RT3 are derived from tyrosine molecule, that is double tyrosine molecules. So they are synthesized by iodination and condensation of tyrosyl residues of thyroglobulin molecules stored in the colloid of the thyroid follicle. Iodinated thyroglobulin enters the thyroid cells by endocytosis and is hydrolyzed there to liberate T4 and T3, which are released into the circulation. Cells of the thyroid gland contain TSH receptors. Binding of TSH to its receptor activates the enzyme adenylate cyclase with increase in intracellular CAMP, which is a secondary messenger, the CAMP molecule. So most of the TSH actions are mediated through this CAMP increase, but some depend on the stimulation of cell membrane phospholipids as well. The major secreted product of the thyroid gland is T4, while T3 is secreted only in small amounts, as I said earlier, and derives mainly from the peripheral deiodination of T4. So if potent molecule T3 is needed immediately, so T4 is deiodinated, that is a loss of one of the iodine molecule happens in T4 to convert into T3. So 1/3 of the circulating T4 is converted into T3 in peripheral tissues. Both hormones are present in serum, either bound to proteins or in free state. So their percentage would vary. So usually around 70 to 80% are bound to thyroglobulin. T3 is less tightly bound to plasma proteins than is T4 and is therefore more readily available for cellular uptake. See, the free hormone is biologically active and interacts with specific receptors localized in the membrane, which is in mitochondria, cytoplasm, or nucleus of the responsive cells. Because as I said earlier, the thyroid hormones can actually cross the membrane barrier and interact with the receptors present in the internal organelles of the cell. T3 binds to nuclear receptors here to a much greater extent than T4. Hence, T3 is more rapidly and biologically active than T4. T3 and T4 are deiodinated and deaminated in the tissues. In the liver, they are conjugated, pass into the bile, and are excreted into the intestine. Conjugated and free hormones are also excreted by the kidney. So, it is a cyclical phenomenon. The amount of T3 and T4 has to be continuously regulated. So based on the process what I said and the kind of hormones like TRS to TSS, TSS to T3 and T4, the cycle would continue. So we have to understand three important factors attached to this. First one is the major source of circulating T3 is not from the thyroid secretion but from the peripheral deiodination of T4. Second, the negative feedback at the pituitary anterior lobe is principally through T4, taken from the circulation and converted to the thyrotrope to T3 by thyrotrope deiodinase. Thirdly, the peripheral deiodination depends on the physiological state of the organism. It allows an autonomy of response of the tissues to the hormones. Deiodination can convert T4 to T3 or not. It depends. The conversion depends on the activities of the various deiodinating enzymes. So T4 upon deiodination results in T3. T3 is the most active form. So, but the negative feedback at the pituitary lobe is principally through T4 because T4 is abundantly present. The T4, when it gets converted into T3, the level of T4 is actually sensed. So if the level of T4 is decreasing, it would send a signal to the pituitary, through the hypothalamus and the pituitary, basically releasing TRH and TSH to make more of T4 and T3s. So in the final picture, if you look at it here again, so we are here when homeostasis is disturbed, that is decreased T3 or T4 concentrations in blood or low body temperature. So temperature can also be regulated by increasing the metabolic rate, and metabolic rate increase happens because of thyroid hormones. So if there is a body temperature decline, so T3 and T4 gets used up. So if they get used up, there is a requirement of T3, T4 restoring in the blood plasma. So this in turn reaches the hypothalamus. The circulating T4 levels are actually detected by the hypothalamus, neurosecretory cells of the hypothalamus, which manufacture thyroxine releasing hormone. And they release and send out a signal to the anterior pituitary here, and anterior pituitary would, upon reception of the TRH, prepares and manufactures TSH, that is thyroid stimulating hormone, which gets released into the blood plasma or bloodstream, and it would travel all around the body looking out for its target cell. And the target cells for TSH is the thyroid gland. Thyroid glands have special receptors meant for the reception of TSH. So once the TSH binds on the receptors of the thyroid follicular cells, they start manufacturing T4 and T3. So thyroid follicles release T3 and T4 into the blood plasma again. So homeostasis is restored. That is the loss of T3 and T4 we started with, and now there is increased T3 and T4 concentration in the blood. So it gets increased as long as the homeostasis is reached. If it gets increased more than that, it can have a negative effect, that is asking the hypothalamus to stop synthesizing the TRH. So TRH, no TRH, no TSH, no TSH, no T3 and T4. So it is negatively regulated. The response itself negates the production of T3 and T4. So here T3 and T4 can actually suppress. If the amount of T3 and T4 present in the blood plasma is higher, it can ask the hypothalamus to stop synthesizing TRH. I believe you have understood the fundamentals of negative feedback mechanisms. If you have any doubt, you can comment below in the video, or you can reach me upon my WhatsApp. Thank you. These are the references. You can look into these references for further details. Thank you very much.